This is the distributive review, and again, you're doing this because you made major mistakes on problems that had distributive property. Many of you don't pay attention to my hints, and the big hint that I said in the video, I think it might be because some of you just don't listen to what's going on, is what's the sign, what's the number, what's the variables. If you'd use that, then you don't get confused on this and combining terms, because whenever you combine terms, this things stay the same, but in this one you have to actually count your variables, which is why your variable number changes. So for example, or actually we'll get to that, but again, if you use sign, number, variables as a situation to start with, it pretty much almost guarantees 100% times, especially after practice, that you're going to get it right. So looking at this real fast, again, you draw your attachment, which I need to see in your work, and you ask yourself those three things, and if you learn to do that, you will get it right almost 100% of the time. If you practice, you're going to get it right 100% of the time. But here, the sign, both of these are positive, so it's positive. The number is 10 because 5 times 2 is 10, and in terms of variables, I have 2 x's among them, so it's x squared. So again, if you take your time, you will not miss it. That is if you want to get it right. Here, looking at that, the sign is a positive 5, a positive 3, so it's positive. The number is 5 times 3, which is 15, and the number of variables, there is only 1 here, none there, so there's 1 altogether, and that's all that you have to do. So again, majority of problems that people have on this is typically with rushing or not practicing enough and not having it down. So just make sure you do those three things whenever you multiply. What's the sign? What's the number? What are the variables? Looking at the second one. Here, what's the sign? You have a negative times a positive, which is negative. There is no number, so you don't write a number. But in terms of variables, you've got 2 t's here, 1 t there, which means you have 3 altogether. Here, when you go to combine these two, you have a negative times a negative, which makes the sign positive. Again, that's your sign. The number, the only number in this group, is 7. And then in terms of t's, there are 2 of them in that problem that you need to bring down. For the third one, same thing, sign, number, variables. The sign is positive, the number is 4 times 3, which is 12. The variables, there's 1 and 2, which makes 3 x's altogether. On your second meeting, there's it's positive times a negative, which makes it negative. 4 times 9 is 36 from my number. From my variables, there's 1x here, 1x there, which makes 2 x's altogether. Again, notice if you just take your time, you will get it right every single time. Here, the sign is a positive times a positive, which is positive. The number is 4 times 5, which is 20. And there's only 1 x among them, and so that's what I end up with. Sign, number, variables. Please make sure you practice doing that, because like I said, there's really no excuse to miss this outside of just rushing through the work. So remember that you have to count the number of variables in the multiplication, and that you also must make sure you pay attention to the sign and the number. Again, be sure to show some sort of work for credit in this activity. I know it's not a lot, but even if you just show me the attachments or something for you to get credit, because obviously, again, if you missed it, you need the help. And so if you go through and take a shortcut today, I'm marking whatever questions don't have work absolutely wrong, and then your percentage is going to reflect that. So keep in mind, again, you have today and tomorrow to get this handed in for your grade. So just make sure you do it right and go from there.